Heyo, it's me, Harper Savage, and it is 12 days of arts and coffee. No, it's not. You might be wondering why we still have this background if it's not 12 days of arts and coffees anymore. That's because I decided I wanted to kind of do like a ranking thing for the 2 advent calendars that I did this year by Arteza. So how this is going to work is I'm going to be ranking the advent calendars kind of individually at first. Like I'm going to rank the project cards how they were intended to do separately. Like I'm going to have the painting one as a separate ranking than the illustrated one. And then I'm going to also rank my projects that I did do. I'm going to be ranking those separately. And then after that, we're going to be ranking the supplies in the boxes, but we're going to be ranking them together because there was some overlap with some of the supplies, and I think it would just be kind of silly to rank them separately when I feel the same way about the same supplies, you know what I mean? So, let's start with the projects. So my rating system is based off of how the project was intended to be done, not necessarily the outcome of the project that I did. So we're going to start with Tiffany Anna's advent calendar here. So coming in 6th place, we have clay tags. I personally don't pay attention to the tags after I figured out who the gift was from, and I would feel really pressured to keep something homemade like that, even though I have no use or purpose for it. So for me personally, this was just a no, because I don't want to put that pressure on somebody else to keep something that's basically garbage. That's my opinion. I know, like, it's a horrible opinion, but that's just how I feel about it. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. Coming in at number 5 would be Mary. That's because I don't like the idea of copying somebody else's artwork. I think this would be a good idea for artists that are just starting out, trying to figure out what their style is and stuff, but not for somebody who is seasoned like myself. In 4th, we have Winter Ornament. I understand that ornaments don't have to be for Christmas, but this is like not very friendly to people who don't celebrate Christmas. So that's why it's in this place. And in 3rd place, we have Wax Resist Watercolor. It's basically the Easter egg project, but on paper instead of an egg. It's not a bad project, just not my favorite project. And in 2nd, we have Cherry Painting. Now, I know I said that I don't like copying somebody else's artwork, but at the end, they saved themselves by saying, not a cherry fan, no problem. These colors translate perfectly to a holiday tree or wreath. Now, those are holiday-themed things, but that kind of implied you could do whatever with these colors and not necessarily the cherry thing. And in 1st place was the textured art. I had a lot of fun with this project personally because it's something I don't really do normally, and it's just fun to change things up sometimes. So for Ryan's advent calendar in 6th place, this should come to no surprise to anybody, we have the doodle display. Don't get me wrong, I think this project is a good idea. I just think they did it wrong. Like, I feel like the images should have been a little bit more generic and not all the same kind of style. Like, they should have had a couple of different things to choose from. And in 5th place, we have Mixed Style Quadrant. I thought the wood panel was just too small for this project, and it was hard for somebody like me who was doing it for the first time to work in such a small area and have like 0 ideas of what to do. So I think if this was done with a different kind of thing to paint on, it would have been fine. And in 4th place, we have a kickoff card that I do not own. It is the Winning Hands project card. I know that they are standard card size, but I think it was just too small, and I don't think we had quite the right art supplies for that project. And in 3rd, we have Reverse Painting Technique. I thought this was fun, and there's not really much wrong with this, except, you know, it just wasn't as good as some of the other projects. And in 2nd, we have Iconic Ornaments. I think because it wasn't super geared for Christmas, that this could work at any time of year because it was a wood slice. So it's also something that I did like doing and I have done on my own. And in 1st place, we have Mini Mural. I was surprised when I saw that they included an entire canvas and already had a texture on it. And I thought it was just a fun, cool thing to do for the last project because you had everything available to you at that point. Let me know how you would rank these projects. Next, we're going to move on to ranking the art from each of the advent calendars. I'm going to be ranking my projects based off of if I had fun with the process, if I like the outcome, and if the project card itself kind of interests me or made me think outside the box. Alright, so we're going to be doing Tiffany's advent calendar first for ranking the projects. Okay, so coming in at 6th place are the Winter Ornaments. They just look purple. They don't really look marble or any kind of thing that happened in there that I thought would stay. And again, very Christmas oriented. It's not like all holiday friendly, but also you can make it not look like the holidays too. But anyways, yeah, number 6, winter ornaments. Coming in 5th place is the clay tags project. I did a 3D canvas. It's not bad. It's just, I was kind of like just using up whatever art supplies was near me, to be honest. I still haven't glued these down all the way, by the way, and they're staying all right, but they are definitely going to fall off. And in 4th, we have our wax resistant watercolor painting. I did it on my own paper. Keep that in mind when I go over the art supplies later. I do like the outcome, but the project itself, I had a mishap, and the ink was running and stuff. So the outcome, nice. Doing the project was very upsetting, annoying. I don't know. Pick a word. In 3rd place, we have our texture art. I had a lot of fun actually doing this. As you can see, boo-boo happened here where it wasn't 100% cured yet, and I put one of the ornaments down and it left a dent and some acrylic marker came off onto it. I can fix it. It's not unfixable. I just didn't have time to wait for it to dry before I started recording today. And in 2nd place, we have our moth, just because I really like the moth. I think the scroll idea is okay, but it wasn't working for what the actual project card had intended for, in my opinion. And in 1st place, we have my Jersey Fresh tomato on the iridescent panel. The iridescent panel is so cool. I hope I can get my hands on more in the future because I want to do stuff like this again. Here is the back of it in case anybody is wondering. Let me get it out of all the reflections. So in 6th place, which will come to a surprise to absolutely no one, is the doodle display. I don't like how I colored this. I lost motivation right as soon as I started to do the project here. And I'm just not a fan of this like type of like clustered art style. I do, however, like how I painted the doodle display. 5th place, we have the winning hand. I decided to do Uno. I think that the outcome wasn't great, but the concept was good. If I had like access to all of my paint markers, I think I could have done this a lot better. In 4th place, we have the mixed styles quadrant. I didn't have fun working on the wood. I think if I had some gesso, it would have like worked out a lot better. But because I had those acrylic markers, they skipped everywhere, and I had to keep touching areas up and stuff. In 3rd place, we have the reverse painting. Now there's glitter all over it now, but that's from the ornament here. The reason it didn't end up higher is because I don't like how it got, like, it didn't swirl enough, and I was too scared to swirl it more, and none of the glitter, like, showed up in the paint itself. But I had fun doing it because it was, like, cool to work backwards. I'm having a hard time choosing between 1st and 2nd here, so I'm just gonna be nitpicky about it, I guess. So in 2nd, we're gonna go with the iconic ornament, just because the mica was flying everywhere during that process. And when I went to varnish it in between videos, all the glitter ran onto the rose, and I tried hard to varnish them separately. It just didn't work that way. But it's not a bad outcome, the rose being sparkly too now. It's just not what I was going for. Here's the back, in case you forgot. So that means 1st place is a mini mural. I had fun doing it, but I wasn't super duper happy with when I was trying to cut a corner and use the other marker to do the outlines, because the oil-based paint marker was just not like working well for me. But overall, I do like this. I think over the 2 top-ranked project outcomes, I think I still like the tomato better. Okay, so I have no idea how many things are here, so I'm not going to put a number on the ranking. Hopefully I'll put it on screen or something. I kind of separated them by didn't like, it was okay, and I did like kind of categories. So let's start with the didn't like category. We have the paper that they provided for the wax-resistant project. And also the wax-resistant crayon. So the paper was crap. I just used my own paper. This was not meant for the watercolor project. Like, this is just printer paper. Slightly nicer printer paper, I guess. The wax crayon didn't work consistently. I think if it had worked more consistently, it would have been, like, a better project. This gel pen didn't work at all for me. It laid down and then it dried almost invisible. So do not like this at all. The gel pen worked okay, but it did do that cheap gel pen thing where it like railroaded a lot. I did make it work, but it's not something I like to do. I don't like to have to work hard to get my art supplies to work as intended. And then we also have these oil-based paint markers. The black gave me such a hard time on the mini mural. Like, it didn't want to write over anything. It was okay though. Like, it wasn't the worst, but I always have problems with oil-based paint markers for some reason. Like, I can't get any of them to work right for me, so maybe it's me. So I have a couple of things here that I was just really confused about how to use and wish there was more instruction given for these two items, and that's the stencil and this stuff. So the stencil, I didn't understand how to use it. I do see that there's these dips in it here, and it was going to help me separate the quadrant thing, but I don't understand the actual like stencil part. You can't go wrong with having shaped stencils, but it's also like, why is it here? It just kind of confused me. And then there's the foil stuff with the glue sheet. Once I figured it out, it was fine, but I didn't know that's what this was a glue sheet, and then you do the whole like foil magic thing. I personally don't do this kind of thing, so I had no interest in it when I received it. Next are a couple of, I think these could be better in another project kind of deal. So we have these Inkonic pens. I don't know what these are. Are they fine liner? Are they markers? Whatever you refer to them as. I don't think they're bad. I just think they weren't meant for any of the projects we got them for. So I feel like this very much could be one of those, my mind could be changed if I was working on the right thing for them. We have the mistletoe fetty glitter paint. I don't feel like we should be calling this paint. It's like more of a paste, really. It's pretty, it's just I felt like I didn't really use it that well. And then the alcohol markers, I think they're okay quality. It's just I didn't really get to use them to their fullest with the projects that we were given. Next is the just okay category. So we have the crafting acrylic paint. They're okay. I'm probably never going to use these after this thing is over though, because I don't do the paint pouring thing. But as far as I could tell, they worked fine, other than they blended too much together, which could have been because the thing we were working on was round. Also, the paint palette and paint brushes, they all worked as intended. They're fine. Like, they're not the bestest quality, but they're also not the worstest quality. And I have 1,000 of these, so getting 2 more of these isn't going to hurt me, but it's also like I didn't need them. And this mica powder, it would have ranked lower just because I have some sensory issues and I can't handle when things are just on my fingers. But I do love glitter and I do love mica powder and I do like the outcomes and I do use this stuff, so I couldn't rank it lower because, you know, I do like everything about it except for when it gets on to me. Also, we have the varnish. There's 2. One's just not in the room anymore for some reason. It does its job, so it's okay. Then we also have the stone clay. I don't feel like I got to work with it a whole lot with the amount we got. I think I want to try this again, like this type of clay again is where I'm at with this one. The tool was okay. I have better clay tools though. And then we have the modeling paste. I'm not really sure where to put this in the list just because I did have a lot of fun with it, but I've never tried any other brand of modeling paste to know if it was good quality or not. I do wish it was a bit more dimensional when it dried because it shrunk a lot, but it was still really fun. And I can see myself using the rest of it. So next we have the better than average section, I guess. And there's only one item in it. We have the paint markers. Now, these could have ranked in the I love these category if they weren't all the plastic nib type of ones where they're super fine and they just splatter everywhere because of the way the nib is, I guess. I also put the chrome in here with it because honestly, the chrome works a lot better than it did last year. I'm not sure if they changed their formula or if I just got a dud. I can't even compare it because I got rid of it as soon as I was done using it for the advent calendar last year. But I have since learned that it works better on glass and stuff, so they're not that bad. But yeah, the plastic nibs just aren't my favorite of the paint marker world nibs. All right. Next we have the I guess I like this because I have to now. I don't necessarily actually feel that way, it was just I worked with it the most. So we have all the acrylic paints here, and even the acrylic wash, because I couldn't tell the difference other than the finish. I think the acrylic wash probably does work different than the acrylic, but I didn't have the opportunity to use it as acrylic wash. It was more like I had to use it as acrylic because it was going on like a slick surface. If it was going on paper, I would have been able to find out if it could like reactivate and blend differently. But yeah, I would say all these work fine. I think the green and the yellow are a bit transparent, but you know, more layers helped with that. The rest of them seemed pretty decent. And last, I am ranking these together, even though they're technically two different forms, are the watercolors. I do like Arteza's watercolors. They're the best that I've used, and keep in mind that I've only ever used affordable bargain brands. This could mean nothing to like somebody who works with like expensive, high quality watercolors. However, I hate that the paintbrush did not work well for me. Very cheap. Should have been on the bottom, but it was included in the watercolor section for some reason. But those are all my thoughts and opinions about the supplies. Let's move on to the advent calendars themselves. I have read the comments. I've responded to most of the comments on the videos, and it seems like people generally did like the new way that Arteza is doing the advent calendars. They like the idea of projects instead of just random art supplies, and they did seem to be a lot different than last year's advent calendar. Now, I haven't gotten Arteza's advent calendars other than last year's, so I can't tell you for sure if they're like super different. I've heard that the previous advent calendars were like kind of the same copy paste each year, but I don't know for sure because I haven't gotten them all. So I guess let's talk about the painting one, Tiffany Anna's, the projects that I wasn't really on board with. I didn't like the idea of copying somebody else's art. And I also didn't like how the last couple days were set up as the last box was the project, and then the days in between projects 5 and 6 were just random. And those happen to be the ones that were mentioned on Tiffany's card that she had picked out personally. Don't get me wrong, I did like doing the projects that I had never done before, like painting on the iridescent panel, and I did like a lot of the supplies that came in that box, but there were just some things I wasn't really excited to do. Now, for the illustrated box, I felt like the projects were more up my alley than the other one, because I like didn't change the projects as much as I did in the first box. However, my complaint about it is that it's advertised as the illustration box. I was expecting more markers and like pencils, for example, and we got half painting and then half paint markers and then a couple of non-paint related things. That seems to be the common complaint I saw on the comments, and I totally agree. However, something that was not clear to consumers buying this product was that these boxes are based off of the artists who were making the box or like had a hand at putting the box together. Now, I keep complaining about not wanting to recreate Tiffany Anna's like cherry painting and the bee painting. That's something that she does. She has a bunch of different cherry paintings and a bunch of different bee paintings, which you would find out if you would scan the QR code. Throwing shade at all of you guys who didn't do that. So that does relate to what she does. So I see why that's a project now, because I had to do research. That's not something people want to do, mind you. And for the illustration box by Ryan, these are all things that he does. Like, he actually has a lot of social media stuff where you can check him out actively. He does paint on the ornaments. He does a lot of like paint marker things. So that's why it made sense that there was more paint things than like what other people think illustration is in the box. So I just wanted to like point that out there, that these boxes were actually geared towards the artists who made them. And I think they should have advertised it more like that instead of this is for painting and this is for illustration. You know, that's nobody's fault but like Arteza's marketing. And I don't like that I had to do research to figure out what the heck was going on with these boxes. And I didn't know these artists until I had gotten these boxes too. And it's like, most people aren't buying these advent calendars for the artists. They're buying them because they want to have the supplies and do the projects in the boxes. And I think that's just something Arteza needs to think about in the future. Now, I want to go over like a wish list I have for like next year maybe, or to improve the boxes. I think the 4 days of project thing was great. I hope they do that again. I just hope they change up the projects. I don't want to see the same colors every year, like the red, green, and silver, gold. I know those are Christmas colors, but you have to keep in mind, not everybody celebrates Christmas. So we have to streamline that, I think. Something I also felt like they could include is some kind of water vessel, I guess, for all the acrylic paints that they keep doing in these advent calendars. Because you need to wash your paintbrushes, right? And it doesn't have to be anything like a cup. It could be something fabric that can fold down. I actually have one and I'll show you. It looks like this, and I don't actually know where I got it from. But, like, it could fold up into one of the boxes pretty easily because it folds down like this. Something like that, instead of having the same paint palette all the time, I think I'd appreciate more. Also, colored pencils. I'm not 100% sure if Arteza does colored pencils, but I would like to try them if they do, and I know that they have room in those boxes for pencils if they have room for paintbrushes, you know? Oh, and maybe include like a colorless blender to go with them. Also, better paper, because we definitely got good paper the one year for the watercolor. Another thing I was wishing for was gesso, because they gave us a bunch of wood things, and wood is easier to work off of if you have gesso, and there is clear gesso out there if you want to keep like the wood design. So if they could include something to make it easier to work on the wood surfaces, that would be great. I think that's generally all I wanted to say about the advent calendars and how I felt after doing all the projects and stuff. So that is going to be it for me today. If you guys want to check out the 12 Days of Arts and Coffee so I was referencing in this video, you can go ahead and tap the playlist here. If you want to catch up on anything you missed, you can go ahead and tap the thumbnail here. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to do all the cool YouTubey things of comment, liking, and subscribing, and turning on that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!